Welcome back to the Daily Mastermind. My name is George Wright III with your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and education. And I want to talk to you today about a recent event, and some of you may have been aware of the recent UFC fight between Connor McGregor and his opponent. The reason I want to bring it up is I saw an interesting thing in a post-event press conference, but for those of you that were not familiar with it, this was a UFC fight where Connor McGregor basically dominated. After a massive build-up of suspense, he decisively won the fight in less than 40 seconds. I mean, what a show, what a spectacle. But, you know, I watched this post-event press conference, and I heard something that I thought was amazingly insightful, and it might surprise you. Hopefully it doesn't. But, you know, in this press conference, many different reporters were asking questions over and over. They asked and asked. You know, interviewers were trying to get inside the head, get the insights, the thoughts. You know, what was Connor McGregor thinking? How did he train? What was the secret to his success? You know, basically they wanted to get some answers from him as to how he did this and how he trained and what happened. But ultimately, after several answers and various back and forths, I thought it was interesting, and for those of you that maybe saw the video, where Conor just kind of sighed and he shook his head and he simply said, look, it's just about commitment. I thought that was so insightful. It's just about commitment. He says, you know what needs to be done. Everyone knows what needs to be done. You just need to do it. He said there's no secret. He's just like everyone else. He just knew what needed to be done and he put in the work. He said it's just about, and he said it multiple times, it's just about putting in the work. There's no secret. But everyone out there is looking for one. Everyone out there is looking for, how do you create success? How did this person get successful? How did that person get successful? The bottom line is, there's nothing that beats work. Most of us know exactly what it takes to be successful, to have the life we want to live, the relationships we want to have, the business we want to be, the lifestyle, the travel, whatever it is. We know what it's going to take. We know the work that it's going to take. You just have to be willing to put in the work. Connor made another comment. He says, you put in the work, you reap the rewards. That's just success 101. When you put in the work, you reap the rewards. So I don't care if it's trying to get in shape, create a business, have success, make more money, have a better relationship, have better communication. It doesn't matter what it is. You put in the work, and most of us know what the work is that needs to be done. You reap the rewards. But here's the problem. You have to recognize and fix something that's really important. You make commitments, or we make commitments at times, and then we don't follow through on those commitments. And what happens is we break a promise to ourselves. We break a commitment to other people. And, fact is, Connor mentioned this in his interview. He says that's a mini failure. When you break a promise to yourself or you don't follow through on a commitment, that's a mini failure. And the problem is these failures and these mini failures add up, and they add up, and they add up over time, and they begin to wear away at you. They break down your confidence. They break down your self-esteem. They break down your beliefs. Having these little mini failures and these little broken promises to yourself, when you know you've committed or you know you need to do something, they break down your results. Bottom line, they leave you broken and ineffective over time. And the sad thing is we know what work needs to be done. We know what commitments we've made in our lives, our businesses, our relationships, and to ourselves. And when you break these promises and you have these little failures, they add up and add up and add up. And this is the reason people struggle from depression, anxiety, stress, lack of confidence, lack of self-esteem, is because of the broken promises to ourselves. So how do you fix this? How do you fix this? I mean, obviously the answer is keep the promises you make to yourself, right? Keep your word. Keep and follow through on the things you say you're going to follow through. Only make commitments that you plan to follow through with, right? Only make commitments that you know you can follow through with. When you know you can follow through on something, do it. And only make commitments that you're prepared to follow through with. So many of us do things for other people's benefit or to look good or to get the recognition or validation. But the bottom line is make commitments you know you're going to follow through with. Keep those promises to yourself. Be willing and able to really be smart, strategic, and tactical about what commitments you're going to make instead of over-promising and under-delivering, right? However, I do want to emphasize one thing, and that is there's a fine balance between only making commitments you can follow through on and being willing to make the commitment. You have to be willing to make commitments. Don't just avoid them. Don't shy away from a challenge. Be willing to make those commitments and also stretch yourself past your comfort zone. See, being willing to have the faith that you can accomplish something before you have the belief. See, we're talking about you doing the work that it takes. We're not talking about the result that you expect to get. Be willing to make commitments and be willing to follow through and do the work it takes. You know what the work is you need to do in your relationship. You know what the work is you need to do in your business or your job or your life. You know what the work is to get in the shape that you want to get in or have that talent or skill that you've been trying to develop. Be willing to do the work, but also be willing to have the faith before you actually have the belief. See, it doesn't really matter whether you believe it, because sometimes you have to work outside your comfort zone to create a new belief. Well, let me give you an example. If you've ever been mountain climbing, or maybe you've climbed one of those rock walls at a recreation center or something, and you've had people kind of guiding you. You can't really see down, and you might be, you're climbing this wall. I went mountain climbing one time, and it was kind of a scary ordeal. I'm not big with heights, but at the bottom line, there's many places in climbing where you can't see where you're going to reach up and put your hand or where you're going to reach over and put your foot to get some solid ground or to get some solid footing. But a lot of times if you have other people giving you direction or if you have another climber with you, they'll lead the way and they'll tell you that there's a footing. And even though you may not have the belief that it will hold you, all you have to have is the faith. Because see, this is the thing. It doesn't matter whether you believe it will hold you if someone's already tried and true and tested that. You just have to have the faith that it's going to. This is why you surround yourself with successful people, because having faith is believing before you've hardwired your belief. Having faith is believing something's going to happen or that it can happen before your belief is wired in. That's why you surround yourself with successful people. And guess what? That just builds your actual belief. How ironic is that? When you're willing to have the faith to be able to act in a way that you know can create the results you want, and you get a new experience, you're going to create a new belief. That's how it works. Faith will precede your belief and your actual experience. Now, Connor had also said a couple other things I want to point out. One is do the work, but do it strictly. Don't say I'm willing to do the work and go through the motions. Do the work. If you're going to do the work, do it right. Tell yourself, I'm going to commit and I'm going to follow through. Also, be willing to sacrifice for the win. Sacrifice for the win. He abstained from, drinking any alcohol. He committed to his workouts. He was willing to sacrifice for the win. And, when you're willing to put in the work, you reap the rewards. So it's my hope that you're willing to put in the work, you'll make the commitments, and you'll follow through on the commitments strictly and confidently. And if you do that, I know that you can have the success that you want to have. Learn from the champions and make decisions today to start living the best version of yourself and following through with your commitments, and you can live the life that you were meant to live. That's my message for today. I hope you're having an amazing week. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for tuning in. My name is George Wright III. This has been the Daily Mastermind. Have a great day.